Celtics, that's the definition of this road trip. This West Coast road trip was up and down. I literally had a million heart attacks. Ridiculous. Shout out to Boston Pro Shop. This chain is legit. Everyone that works there is A1. Love all the employees there. We're literally on a first name basis. I'm there literally every day. Bremery Day, Boston Banner Bound, Celtics Talk, recapping the 6-game, 2-week road trip. It was something else, let me tell you. But you know what? The Celtics came out on top. They are now 22-7. They are still first in the East, barely hanging on. The Bucks are just slowly climbing behind them to try and steal that 1 seed. All right, 6-game road trip. Let's talk about it. It was over 2.5 weeks long. So they took on the Brooklyn Nets first. They won this game 103-92. There was no Marcus Smart. Honestly, the Celtics started out super sloppy. That kind of seemed to be the theme of this road trip, if I'm being honest with you. The turnovers matched the assists at 17. So when you see numbers like that, you don't think that you're necessarily going to win a game, and especially not by double digits like they did. The defense really stepped up, and I think, honestly, defense is the key to winning games. KD got destroyed by getting double teamed. His pocket was getting picked. Tatum did a really good job defensively. Blake Griffin. Okay, so this was like the road trip of Blake Griffin, and I loved it, but so awkward that the Brooklyn Nets did a tribute video to Blake Griffin, and everyone was like, what was it, a TikTok? Like, he was there for 5 seconds. We need to stop with all these video tributes. It's a little excessive and unnecessary, but I thought that was hilarious. Anyways, they were on a traveling back-to-back. Not a lot of rest happening in this road trip, even though it was long and extensive. A lot of games being played in a short amount of time. They took on the Raptors in Toronto. They won this game 116-110. Brogdon and Horford were out this game. So Horford ended up being on the COVID IL, and then throughout the entire rest of this road trip, we went without Al Horford. So really seeing the absence of Al in these games here going forward. Blake Griffin started, and as we know, undefeated when Blake Griffin is in the starting lineup at this point. Mazzulla gets a technical foul. Celtics had the best road win record in the league at 9-3 at this point. I'm calling them my road dogs, just getting it done on the road. Then they take on the Phoenix Suns. They win this game 125-98, 27 points. At one point, it was a 45-point blowout, and we're like, yo, is this the number 1 seed in the West? What's up? Hello? Is anyone home? Are the Suns good? Like, what's happening? Did not look like the number 1 seeded West Coast Phoenix Suns at all, and that was all thanks to the Celtics' defensive and offensive threats. So yeah, it was a matchup of the best records of the East and the best records in the West. Celtics had the best record overall in the entire NBA. Just always need to shout that out because they don't get enough media credit. They don't get enough credit in general by anybody. So yeah, that always needs to be stated. They go on a 3-game win streak here. Again, Al Horford is out. This was the first game back for CP3 in a month. So he hadn't played in over a month. Can we give him that excuse? Sure. He is an older player now. He is a seasoned vet. Rusty, hadn't played in a month. Chose to come back to face the red-hot Celtics as his first game back. Welcome back to the NBA. You just got blown out by 45. Blake Griffin starts again. Undefeated again. The issue here was Devin Booker had 4 fouls in the first half. So getting in that foul trouble, he couldn't really play to the best of his ability. And the Celtics just capitalized on that disadvantage that they had. The Celtics were up 27 at the half, up 45 in the third quarter. Celtics did not hate a third quarter this day, I can tell you that. Like I said, won the game by 27, and everything seemed great. We were road dogging it. Everything looked like Celtics were in control in the driver's seat, cruising on this road trip, being the road dogs that they are. But then it came to a screeching halt when we had to face the reigning champs, our NBA Finals matchup against the Warriors in Golden State. And they rained on our parade, and they rained on it hard, snapped our 3-game win streak, lost this game 123-107. At this point, the Warriors were 13-13, just a 500 team. And they were on a 2-game losing streak, and they're 11th in the West at this point. Horford did not play. Blake Griffin started, and sadly we lost the undefeated record of Blake Griffin starting, and it was so depressing. Tatum was non-existent shooting-wise. He had a few steals on the defensive end. Turnovers were the issue here. Second chance points were just way too much. Lazy, sloppy, slow. Now 5-1 when Blake starts. 10-4 for their road record. My main concern with this was I think they just had one too many days off in between the last game and this game. When you have that extra day off, like, yes, okay, do you want them playing every day? That could also be an issue, like overworking them and doing too many minutes a game. But that one extra day off, I think, really hurt them, if I'm being honest. So then they take on the Clippers. They lose this game, 20-point blowout, 113-93, and we're like, okay, our luck has run out on the West Coast. It's been too long. Tatum misses Deuce, missed Deuce's birthday. He's posting throwback baby videos and pictures of Deuce. His head just isn't in it. They've been over there for like almost 2 weeks now. It's just been the longest road trip ever of all time. And they should have just quit while they were ahead, took that 3-game win streak, and came back home. But unfortunately, they had to play the Warriors, the Clippers, and the Lakers within 3 days of each other. So it was tough. Tonight was the first time the Celtics had been held under 100 points since Game 6 of the NBA Finals last year. Their streak of 27 straight games scoring 100-plus points was the longest stretch they've had from the start of a season in 55 years. 35 straight to start the 1967-68 season. The Celtics had the longest acting regular season streak of scoring 100-plus points, with 32 straight games dating back to April 1st. Chicago now takes that claim with 23 straight. Again, no Al Horford. Really seeing the lack of size here. No disrespect to Blake Griffin or Luke Cornett. And I know that Grant sometimes takes the load on that job as well. But without Al and his dominance and his veteranness, you're really seeing the lack of help in the center department as a glaring issue. Like I've already stated that I wanted another person there for this reason. Specifically, we don't know how long Rob's going to be out. They're saying he'll be back very soon. But again, it's like, what if he gets re-injured? Knock on wood. You never know. Hopefully, he can get stronger and be able to last a full season. We'll see. We haven't seen it yet. I hope that happens. But again, we also have a 36-year-old Al Horford. It's like he can't play 40 minutes a night. Like, we need something else. We need some more help there just to get more in the rotation. This was also the first time John Wall faced the Celtics in 4 years. It was crazy. We haven't seen John Wall or Kawhi Leonard, really, for that matter, in the longest of time. And they made a statement along with Paul George, and they put a beat down on the Celtics and really just putting us in the L column, which was not a familiar feeling this year so far. And then they take on the Lakers. This is the third game in 4 days. So yes, you're seeing fatigue. You're seeing the West Coast road trip now catching up to them, taking a toll on them. Taking on the 12th seeded 11-15 Lakers that are gaining momentum now. Everyone wants to talk about the Lakers. I just can't. Celtics are on a back-to-back, traveling back-to-back, even though the Clippers and the Lakers play in the same arena, so they did not have to actually travel. But still, they're playing back-to-backs. It's the same idea. Horford out, Rob Will out, Gallinari out. listed as questionable were Anthony Davis and LeBron James, but of course they played. And they played more than they bargained for. They ended up going into OT. Celtics won this game 122-118, and it was a sloppy, embarrassing, stressful game. Let me tell you, the Celtics were blowing them out at halftime. They were up 20 plus points. And then the Lakers just went on a tear, went on a run. They went on a 17-4 run to cut the lead to 6 at the end of the third quarter, then a 24-4 run to take the lead by 1. The Celtics were scoreless in over 6 minutes. Couldn't buy a bucket. It was embarrassing. I was horrified. And Finally, Tatum got out of this 2-game slump that he was just slumping. He just looked like he had no idea how to play basketball. It was just weird. We were like, yo, Tatum, you good? Like, what's happening? Hi, like, you're trying to chase the MVP title. Like, come on. Like, you got this. Remember how to shoot a ball. Remember how to play basketball. You got it. And he bounced back, 44 points. Brown had 25 points. Celtics fans cheering MVP as Tatum left the Lakers court and went into the tunnel was just everything, the icing on the cake. Way to end the road trip strong. And now the Celtics come back for a 7-game homestead starting Friday with a mini series against the Magic. They take on the Bucks for ho Christmas Day. This is one of the longest homestands in franchise history. 7 games, 17 days against teams that are combined 32-61 on the road. Oh, and the Celtics and the Bruins have now played 29 games at the TD Garden this year, and not a single loss has been in regulation. So only in overtime have these two teams lost, and they haven't lost much at home. So everything seems to be going in the Celtics' favor if we're looking at predictions, if we're looking at something that we can, hang our hat on. Celtics are killing it. Number 1 in the NBA. Barely losing at all, barely losing at home for that matter. And every team that's coming in has a losing record on the road. So it looks like everything should be working in the Celtics' favor. I don't see them dropping 2 to the Magic. I don't see them falling in these trap games at all, especially with the Celtics fan base behind them, welcoming them home after such a long-ass road trip. Bucks might be tough on Christmas Day. Giannis always eats, and he's going to be looking to just dominate in the paint. But you know what? I have faith that the Celtics will go 7-0. They need redemption from this rocky West Coast win 3, lose 2, win 1 fiasco. Giving me heart attacks as usual, but you know the vibes. That's what it is when you are a Celtics fan. I will recap the 7-game homestead when it wraps up in 17 days. Don't miss me too much. If you want to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, that's where I post daily to keep you updated with all things Celtics and NBA and sports related. Thank you for tuning in and following and supporting. This has been Brie Marie D, Boston Banner Bound. Go Celtics!